Welcome to the show. I am George Batista, your host and your wellness advocate. And of course, this is always Wellness Talk. Glad you guys could be with me this week. This week, we're going to talk about magnesium. This is brand new information on magnesium and blood pressure. So, this is from Natural News, and its blood pressure can significantly be lowered in just 1 month with magnesium. So, it's brand new information. We all know how important magnesium is, so we're going to dive into that, and that's going to be very beneficial for those of you who are dealing with blood pressure issues or just want to get some support for your blood pressure. Then we're going to talk about listening to yoga music at bedtime is good for your heart. Okay, this is from the European Society of Cardiology. And this is going to really demonstrate the power of music. Those of you who know, I've been a musician for well over 30 years. I know about the power of music and how it has a power to heal. And it just does great things, not only for your entire body, but for your brain and just for the overall energy. So, but they've done some research on music and how it affects the heart, how it affects anxiety, and also heart rate variability, which we're going to talk about. So, again, this is brand new information, European Society of Cardiology. Then, from Wellness Resources, we're going to talk about heart rate variability and what is your trend. So, it's kind of piggybacking on the article before that. But we're going to talk about how important heart rate variability actually is. So, we're going to talk about what is it, why it's important, and how you can affect it positively or negatively, and why you need to be taking a look at that, okay, and how it can be measured and that type of thing. So it's very, very important when it comes to this whole business of health. So I think you'll find this of interest because a lot of people don't talk about it. They talk about their heart rate, right? A lot of fitness people talk about the heart rate, but a lot of people don't talk about the heart rate variability. So it's two different things. So we'll talk about that. Then our nutrient spotlight for this week is going to be on PQQ. Some of you may have not heard of that, but it's actually an antioxidant found in plants, and it's very, very beneficial for the heart and for the overall cardiac system. So we'll talk about that, and again, that's from Wellness Resources as well. So we've got a lot of great information coming at you. And just before we go on, just make sure you like, share, and subscribe. So this way you can support the show. And make sure you go to georgebatista.com because, of course, that's where all the articles live. Okay. All right. So let's get started. So, first article this week: blood pressure can be significantly lowered in just 1 month with magnesium. So, there was a study that found that everyday magnesium intake significantly reduced blood pressure in just 1 month. So, again, we all know how important magnesium is. Magnesium is the fourth most abundant mineral in the body, and it's responsible for well over 400 different enzyme reactions and things in your body. So, we all have to make sure that we have enough magnesium, and most people, and the numbers are pretty much around 80 to 90% of people in society are actually deficient in one way or another in magnesium. So it's one of those really, really important things we need. Now, 34 studies with a total of 2,028 participants were reviewed by the researchers from Indiana University. The findings were published in the journal Hypertension. So this is what the results were. The results of the study showed that taking 300 milligrams of magnesium supplements every single day for 1 month was enough to significantly lower hypertension and improve blood flow. So this was very, very significant. Okay. And this is important because, again, this is one of those things that we are severely deficient in. Like the recommended daily allowance of magnesium for adults from 19 to 51 is roughly 400 to 420 milligrams a day for men and 310 to 320 for women. Now, pregnancy is a little bit different because pregnancy is about 350 to 360. And then, those are typically the tolerated upper limits of magnesium. But again, also the form of magnesium is very, very key, right? Because you have different forms. You have magnesium oxide, you have magnesium glycinate, we have magnesium malate, magnesium citrate. There's many forms of magnesium, and I'll go over the form that I like, and I've talked about it on this show before. But The reason why magnesium is important because it's a key component of your nervous system. Okay, it helps your heart and your overall circulation. It is required for the heart, for the muscles contraction of your heart, okay, and the relaxation and the pumping action. So, if you don't have enough magnesium, this is where you can get into issues of, irregular heartbeats, atrial fibrillation, that type of thing. Okay, your heart also requires tremendous amount of energy to work, which is called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and magnesium is needed in the final step of actually making ATP production in your body. So it's also responsible for that in the muscles as well. Now, your arteries need magnesium, okay, to properly relax and dilate, facilitating normal blood function and making it easier for your heart to work. So you have to keep in mind that, if your arteries are stiff, okay, and you don't have enough magnesium, because that's one of the things that can happen when you don't have enough magnesium. Your arteries can get a lot stiffer. It takes more blood flow to push through those arteries, which means that your heart has to work harder, which means you get a rise in blood pressure, right? So it's kind of like a domino effect that happens. But if you have enough magnesium, it basically it helps to that relaxation response, not only of your muscles but of your nervous system, but of your arteries as well. Okay, and in your nerves, by the way, it acts as a buffer for stress. So extremely important stuff about magnesium. Now, this was a quote from the study. They said that this study underscores the importance of consuming a healthy diet that provides the recommended amounts of magnesium as a strategy for helping to control blood pressure. And this is from Kenny Chris Etherton, an American Heart Association spokesperson. Now, again, we have a lot of different types of magnesium. How do you get your magnesium? So, obviously, you want to get your magnesium from diet, or as much as you can from diet. So, the leafy greens are great. They're really, really high in magnesium, especially if you're eating enough of them. You can get magnesium in things like bananas. You can get it in nuts, in seeds, especially in almonds and walnuts. You get high amounts of magnesium in there. Avocados have magnesium. It's a healthy fat as well. So those are great sources of magnesium. There's a lot of different foods that have magnesium, but if you feel that you are lacking of magnesium, again, you can take magnesium supplementation. And again, one of the ones that I would recommend is magnesium glycinate. Magnesium glycinate is one of the best forms of magnesium that is most absorbable and gets into your cells easy. And why? Because it is bound to an amino acid called glycine, which is picked up by your body, right? Your body picks up the glycine very easily because it is an amino acid, but it also picks up the magnesium with it. And then it helps to get into the cells. And then this is where you get more of the intercellular magnesium, which is really where you need it, right? So I would stay away from the magnesium oxide. Magnesium citrate does have its advantages. If you are a person that, let's say you deal with constipation, magnesium citrate does help with, as far as relieving constipation and things like that. Magnesium is also great for helping you sleep better. So, a lot of different things that magnesium does, but you definitely need to take magnesium. But this is a great study on this. Again, it just highlights the power of magnesium. We've known that magnesium has great benefits, but again, brand new information on magnesium. So I suggest check out magnesium. Again, magnesium glycate. Magnesium malate is good too, by the way. It's one of the only forms of magnesium that is able to cross the blood-brain barrier. The only problem with that one, not really a problem, is that it tends to be very expensive. Okay, because it's one of those rarer forms of magnesium. You don't find it in a lot of different supplement companies. You have to kind of go look for it. But again, I would suggest magnesium glycinate. It's a cheaper form of magnesium, but also very, very effective. The Wellness Resources brand of magnesium, definitely check out Relaxamag or Muscle Mag. Great forms of magnesium from Wellness Resources. All right. Okay. Next, listening to yoga music at bedtime is good for the heart. Again, this is from the European Society of Cardiology. And this was very interesting study. Now, kind of thinking back when I was a kid, I used to listen to music when I was I'm talking about when I was like maybe 6 or 7 years old. I actually had a a little stereo in my room, and I used to listen to music before I went to bed. Now, unfortunately, one of the reasons that I actually started doing that was because my parents had the room next door, and they used to argue constantly. Okay. They used to argue pretty much every night. And the only way I could drown it out was by putting music on. So the music did two things. It actually helped to drown out my parents arguing, but it also helped to relax me, to help me go to sleep. Because I mean, really, as a kid, especially a 6 7 year old kid, you don't want to go to bed stressed and hearing your parents arguing next door, even though they tried to be quiet about it, but you could hear it. So, and in doing that, that actually helped me kind of fall in love with music as a kid, because I was able to retain all this music that I was listening to. And that actually helped me later on, as I became a musician. I just music ended up becoming like therapy for me, really, as I got older, as I got into my teenage years and that type of thing. And it became therapy. And I'm sure you guys probably can identify with when you're driving along and you hear a song on the radio and it takes you back to when you were a kid, right? You hear an older song, or it takes you back to a certain point of your life. Music can be very emotional, and it evokes certain emotions, and it could be great emotions, or it could be sad emotions, or whatever it is, whether it's a breakup, or whether it's a family issue, or whether it's friends when you were kids, or growing up on a certain street, or whatever it is. But music is that type of thing. And that's what it did for me. And that's why, again, it's one of those things that helped me become a musician and become successful at music as I got older. But either way, and it helped me sleep in those years. And it actually, even as my parents divorced, and we we moved out, and we were living in apartments and that type of thing, we I still slept with the radio on even years later, because I just got into the habit of listening to music, and it actually helped me sleep. So anyway, it was just one of those things that I can identify with. But there was a study here, and what they did was they looked at people who were they well, first of all, they I'll kind of point it out here. It was a study from SMS Hospital out of India, and I'll quote this. It says, "We use music therapy in our hospital. And in this study, we showed that yoga music had a beneficial impact on heart rate variability before sleeping." Now, when you say yoga music, it's really meditation music. That's really what it is. And they said that previous research had shown that music can reduce anxiety in patients with heart disease, but they weren't really identifying what different which music they were listening to. So the results of it were kind of inconclusive or inconsistent. So they dove into more specific music in this study. So now heart rate variability is basically the kind of the space in between your heartbeats. Okay, it's not heart rate, but again, it's the space between your heartbeats, and that's very, very important, because low heart rate variability is associated with a 32 to 45% higher risk of a cardiovascular event. So, this study investigated the impact of listening to yoga music, which is a type of soothing meditative music, before bedtime on the heart rate variability. The study included 149 healthy people who participated in 3 sessions on separate nights. It was yoga music before sleep at night, pop music with steady beats before sleep at night, and no music or silence before sleep at night. So at each session, heart rate variability was measured for 5 minutes before the music or the silence started, for 10 minutes during the music and or silence, and 5 minutes after it had stopped. In addition, anxiety levels were assessed before and after each session using the Goldberg Anxiety Scale. The level of positive feelings was subjectively measured after each session using a visual analog scale. Okay, so now the average age of the participants was 26 years old, and the researchers found that heart rate variability increased during the yoga or meditation music, and then it decreased during the pop music, and it did not significantly change during the silence. Okay, so you had those three groups, so there was more separation of the heart rate variability during the meditation music, and the separation decreased during the pop music, and then there was no change during the silence. So anxiety levels fell significantly after the yoga music, it rose significantly after the pop music, and then it basically there was no really change during the silent period. Okay, so and also the participants that they said that they felt significant more positive after the yoga music than they did after the pop music. Very interesting. Okay, so again, it demonstrates on about the power of music as far as healing, the power of music on your nervous system, right? Because remember, we have the nervous system. And when you're listening to that, when you're listening to this type of thing, this is why meditation is so powerful. This is why meditation music is so powerful. Okay. So those of you who meditate, those of you who just listen to calming music, you're doing yourselves, great benefit, because again, you don't realize, because you may not, obviously you may not be measuring it, but you don't realize the beneficial impact that you're having on your heart, your blood pressure, your circulation, all these things. Okay, when you are listening to this type of music and calming, because remember, we're so stressed out these days, right? Everything is stress, run, and then you're looking at TikTok, you're looking at Facebook, you're arguing. There's so many things going on. A lot of people don't take time just to calm, just to just to be calm and listen to something nice and soothing and that type of thing, especially before you go to bed. But this research is really great stuff, showing that those of you who are having trouble relaxing, maybe having trouble sleeping, or whatever it is, just listen to some nice calming music before you go to bed instead of watching TV, right? That's another thing. And it'll affect your heart and have a great impact on your heart. So, just something to think about for those of you who are kind of having problems with stress and anxiety and all that. Okay, but check it out. I think it's going to be very beneficial for you. All right, next, heart rate variability. What's your trend? So now we're going to go a little bit deeper into heart rate variability, and we're going to talk about what it is and why it's important and why you need to pay attention to it and how you can affect it, right? This is from Wellness Resources. So again, let's get into a little bit of heart rate variability, or HRV. Again, remember, this is different than heart rate. Okay, so we all know fitness people, a lot of them, they focus more on the heart rate. The heart rate refers to the number of beats per minute. Okay, that's different than the heart rate variability, which measures the amount of time between each heartbeat. Okay, so again, the closer that time is, the more your central nervous system is acting, or the more your central nervous system is a little bit maybe out of balance, or maybe revved up, and you get a little bit more anxiety, right? That's kind of how it works. So the HRV, heart rate variability, the HRV reflects the balance of your autonomic nervous system. So it's kind of the balance between the fight or flight sympathetic nervous system and the relaxed digest parasympathetic nervous system, okay, that we've talked about in the past. And it can reflect your lifestyle, stress, nutritional status, your how you're sleeping. All these types of things get affected by that. Now, again, the higher the HRV, right, the more people can adapt to stress. Okay, the more healthy usually the individuals seem to be, right? When they look at these studies, and it generally leads to more longevity, and they found in the studies. Now, the lower your HRV reflects that your autonomic nervous system is stressed, and that it can be associated with illness. It can be associated with overall mortality, but it also can, you know, uh, it could also show you that you're more stressed, that there's more emotional stuff going on. It could be cognitive decline. There could be more problems with impulse control, binge eating, all these types of things. Okay. So, again, this is something to take a look at. Now, let's talk about things that negatively impact your heart rate variability. Okay. So, several things can impact it. Obviously, it's body temperature. Okay. Especially if you're a person that has maybe hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, because we know body temperature can be affected by that as well. But sleep cycles, noise, environment, time of the day, body positioning, breathing, mechanics, movement, all those things, all those things can have an effect on the HRV, right? Um, Now, what are some of the things that could negatively affect HRV? Okay, so obviously aging can have an effect of that. Circadian rhythm dysregulation. So those of you who maybe are not sleeping properly, maybe those of you who are shift workers, right? Shift work is tough on the body. If you work midnight to 8 in the morning, and or let's say you do that for a few weeks, and then you work during the morning, your body cannot get into the rhythm. Remember, your body works on circadian rhythms off of a 24-hour cycle. Okay. So if you're a shift worker, you can really stress out the body that way. Sedentary lifestyles can affect it. Obesity, sugar, high fructose corn syrup, insulin resistance, burnout, again, high stress, caffeine. Caffeine can have a very significant effect on heart rate variability if you're one of those folks that drinks like 4 or 5 cups a day. Now, typically most people can usually tolerate maybe 1 cup a day, and there's some that can't, but usually 1 cup a day. But I know people that run their whole day on 4 or 5, and I'm talking about the big ones, the really, really huge ones, not just a small 8-ounce cup. But caffeine, if you find yourself caffeine sensitive, that could be an issue. So that's something to take a look at. But that definitely can affect. And of course, things like eating before bed. That's a no-no. That's one of the things I talk about a lot. And then also chronic inflammation and immune dysregulation. All that can negatively impact your HRV. Now, what are the things that support your heart rate variability or HRV? Okay, so foods, right? Eating good food, good habits. Okay, making sure that your nervous system is nutrified, basically, right? So let's talk about some of the nutrients that can positively affect this whole system. Okay, so we have vitamin B12, especially during pregnancy or if you're elderly. Very, very important. Okay, the carotenes, choline, curcumin, DHA. Okay, that has a huge effect on heart rate and heart rate variability. Magnesium, which we just talked about, zinc, and of course we know the major vitamins like C, D, E, iron, coenzyme Q10. Okay, hydration. You got to make sure you're hydrating. Okay, hydration plays a major part. How do we know people that walk around very, very dehydrated? And it's one of the most common problems when people go to the hospital. They're feeling tired, and they have headaches. They have all these type issues. A lot of times they are dehydrated. Okay, so making sure you're getting optimal hydration. Other things that can affect it, eating almonds, avocados, exercise. This is a big one. And exercise, why it affects it, because you have to remember when you are exercising, right? Now, this is exercise in the exercise space. So, for example, when you're doing a 30-minute aerobic session, for example, obviously your heart rate is really going to increase. Your heart rate variability is going to decrease because your heart is pumping, right? Your heart is pumping fast. You're getting the blood out through the extremities, and that's the job of the heart. Okay, and you're exercising your heart because remember, your heart is a muscle. You're making it work and work and work. But then once you're done and things settle back down to normal, your heart rate settles back down, the more and more you train your heart, the more and more better impact you have on not only your heart rate, but your heart rate variability, the more space between the beats. Why? Because now your heart doesn't have to pump as hard when you're at rest, right? Because now you have better blood flow. Okay, so again, think about it. One thing affects the other when it comes to the body, right? Your body's job is to make sure that there's blood pumping through all the different the parts of your body, right? Your blood pumps body to certain organs every 20 minutes, right? It's got to go through there. You got liters of blood going through there, right? So the easier it is for your heart to pump the blood through the circulation, then you have a better time of it where you have better heart rate variability and heart rate overall in general. Okay. So these are the things to think about. Now, women who are pregnant and nursing, you have to think about it because, it's a stress on the body and it can affect your heart rate variability. So obviously you have to make sure those, women who are pregnant and nursing have to nutrify, have to do everything they can because it affects that as well. Anyone who consumes high fat diet, high sugar diet, high calorie, nutrient poor diet, or who lacks nutrients are going to negatively impact their HRV and their ability to age well. Okay, so you want to strive for whole foods diet rich in multicolored fruits and vegetables, organic, obviously, when you can, legumes, omega 3s, all these types of things, the things that we always talk about, the common sense things, the good diet, all these things, very, very important. The sprouts, and following a good diet. I follow the leptin diet. I've talked about it on this show, but making sure you're eating with the natural circadian rhythms and your body's metabolic need. Very, very important. Now, to meet the minor stress demands and needs, also consider supplementing. Okay. Again, we use the Wellness Resources supplements on this show. Wellness Resources, 35-year-old supplement company on the forefront of clinical nutritional supplements. They are the go to supplements that we use, that my family uses, and that I've used for the past 16 years. So, top choices for nutrifying with, to deal with all the stressful demands of life. I would take a look at the Daily Energy Multivitamin, the Daily DHA, which has a very good impact on the heart and the lungs. Daily Protector, very good for just protecting your overall immune system and your eyes. You could take a look at also turmeric gold, which is something that I take as well. If you're dealing with any kind of inflammation, it's a powder. You can take it in every single day. Activator Plus is a great one. Super Brain Booster to get your brain pumping and circulation going. Relax Mag, again with the magnesium that we've talked about in the prior articles, and also Hemp Spectrum. All these supplements are fantastic supplements that can help to improve, different things and support your body's blood flow, support your heart rate, and just support your overall health. So take a look at those, okay? And then, you just take a moment to assess your overall health by asking yourself some questions, right? Asking simple questions like, how are you sleeping? Are you getting the right amount of sleep? What's your trend? Okay. What's your stress tolerance? Do you tolerate stress? Are you calm in those stressful times? Or are you just, out of control, right? What's your circadian rhythm pattern? Are you staying up late? Do you wake up in the middle of the night? Right? Very good questions to ask yourself. Are you working shift schedules? Okay. And this negatively impacting your overall health? Do you lead a sedentary lifestyle, or are you getting enough exercise? Okay. Sugar intake, fructose intake, all these things. Are you just feeling overall tired? Right? All these things you have to ask yourself. So, again, what's the trend? But just these are tips that can affect your heart rate variability, but it's an important thing to take a look at, and just something to keep in the back of your mind. All right. Finally, our nutrient spotlight for this week is going to be PQQ. Okay, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a powerful vitamin like substance. It's an antioxidant. It's found in plants, and it is 5,000 times more potent than vitamin C. Okay. And what it does, it does many, many things. But one of the things that it does is that it helps to strengthen your mitochondrial health and promote youthful cellular function. We all know the mitochondria needs they create ATP. It's energy of the cells. PQQ is one of the keys to making sure that your mitochondria is working properly, your cell engines are working properly, and helps with aging more gracefully. Now, in order for the cells to make energy, right, mitochondria must combust calories and oxygen, right? So PQQ helps to keep mitochondria in good working order, to make energy more efficiently while protecting against oxidative stress. Now, how does PQQ help with muscle health and lactic acid? It's an excellent antioxidant for muscle health. It helps to reduce lactic acid production in the muscles. So those of you who work out on a consistent basis, whether you're doing cardio or whether you're doing strength training, obviously you're going to have a buildup of lactic acid. And you can kind of tell when that's happening, when you're getting that burning feeling, right? Okay. But some individuals experience muscle fatigue and tightness regularly upon waking or throughout the day, even without exercise. Okay. So PQQ can actually help to reduce that lactic acid, whether it is you're working out or when you're having your recovery later on and you're noticing there's a lot of tightness in the muscles and stuff like that, PQQ is great for that. It also helps to support your heart health and memory. Okay, so research has showed that PQQ supports the heart and brain. The organs require much energy, right? It requires a lot of energy, and it helps to promote heart health function and blood flow in heart muscle. And it works with coenzyme Q10 to improve memory and focus in adults. It also helps with nerve health. Okay, it's shown to increase nerve growth factor, and it's a special protein vital for the growth and maintenance and health of nerve cells. Okay, and finally, it can help to calm the nerve irritation and to protect the nerves overall. Again, it'll work with coenzyme Q10 and great with magnesium, because remember, magnesium also helps with nerve function as well. So check out PQQ. Again, you can go to Wellness Resources. MyVitaminResource.com is the website if you want to take a look at PQQ or any of the supplements that we go over. Very, very good stuff, very important stuff, but really, really good stuff to go over. So, again, what did we talk about today? We talked about how magnesium helps with support blood pressure and has shown in the studies to reduce blood pressure, extremely important. We talked about music and meditation music and how meditation music helps to support heart rate variability and helps to support anxious feelings and helps to support sleep. Okay, very, very important for that as well. And then we talked about overall heart rate variability and what it is, and how you can affect it, the positive things that affect it, the negative things that affect it, and what you can do to overall make sure that you're trending in the right direction with just overall heart rate variability, and keeping yourselves healthy. So good information for you guys. Just check it out. Again, good tips for you. Whatever. If these tips don't help you, then just pass it along, and hopefully it can help somebody that you know that's dealing with any of these issues. Okay. So thank you so much for joining me. Again, just make sure you go to georgebatista.com. Check out all the articles that we go over. It's always there for you. It's a great resource, and I appreciate you guys. Make sure you take care of yourselves and each other. And as always, control your health. Have a great day.